Hello everyone, welcome back to the Welsh Esports League. I'm Pasta, joined by GoluMolu. It's our second day of Groups for Season 6. We are going to get into our first game. It's Tribal Esports taking on Ronda Rising, Ben.
Should be a pretty interesting one. I mean, you know, we were talking about this beforehand. Maybe this game doesn't matter all too much, but with a couple shake-ups in the standings, this is now that final qualification game, Cameron.
Yep.
And I don't know, that always adds a little bit of excitement when you've actually got something on the line, directly a spot into the next round for whichever team takes home the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit on that. The Pit Ponies have been disqualified from the league, player ineligibility issues, and that's all we'll mention of that. But what it means is, what this game would have been a third versus fourth, but because now both of those games against Pit Ponies are null and void, this is a direct qualification game for the playoffs in Group A, and you can see it there, both of the teams on 3 points. Those are the forfeit wins that they got over Pit Ponies. So this really is the one to watch. And then a game later as well, Wolfhounds versus the Pirates, is again another playoffs qualification game.
Yeah, so 2 pretty important games going on tonight, and I guess we'll get to find out which are going to be our final 2 teams making those semi-final spots, getting to take on, you know, the teams that have been pretty solid so far, right? The Rejects undefeated in their group. They're looking pretty solid this season as well. So yeah, it should be pretty interesting to see what happens at the top of the standings in terms of who makes it to our grand final this year. It's going to be quite a different end to the season from any of our previous ones, really, which is quite an exciting thing to look forward to.
Yeah, for sure. And for both Tribal and Ronda Rising as well, as we are heading into our map of Oregon. Thought I'd seen the last of this, but no, we're still sticking around. Just we'll get one last Oregon game, potentially to see it into the sunset. But yeah, again, a word on both of these teams, Tribal and Ronda Rising, with their games now being 7-0 wins against Pit Ponies. They are sitting on the exact same record because both of them last week also had a 7-2 loss against the Red Kites. So you could not get 2 more evenly matched teams. If you just look at the current round difference, current standings, everything is neck and neck.
Interesting way to start off the game. The Deimos ban is the one that I think is pretty interesting. Obviously a very, very strong operator. Slept on a little bit by many, including myself. I'll put my hands up. I underestimated how good wall hacks were going to be. I made that mistake again. But seeing it come through, taking off the Montaigne as well. Vigil ban's a bit interesting. We have certainly seen a little bit of that of the Boss G coming through, right? We've seen people try and pull out some plays with it. In fact, I think last week we didn't go a map without it, right? It came through from both teams, every map we saw. So certainly some ambition coming through, wanting to try and limit that as much as possible. And the final ban being the Fenrir. Again, I think that Vigil's certainly a little bit interesting. Oregon's one where you can probably get away with not banning out quite as much of the sort of the big villains of the defense, right? Your things like your Azamis, perhaps even a Mira. Valkyrie's risen in popularity again as a ban since the Solace nerfs. On the balance, I think this looks alright.
Yeah, I would say so. You've got a couple of less common bans, I suppose, in the Vigil and the Deimos, but obviously Deimos is very, very strong, Vigil as well. And then things that are maybe a bit more standard, the Montaigne especially. Shields are just so strong in the current meta, in the current state of the game, that I personally have no qualms with seeing the Montaigne taken away. As for this round, though, we find ourselves up on the top floor to start things out. Gonna have to remind myself how this map plays, but the top floor is certainly a little bit interesting as well. Normally, it would be the basement to come on through as one of the best sites on this map, and certainly in the entire game of Siege.
Top floor also has an immense amount of priority, though, so seeing teams pick between the two is what you'd sort of expect. An interesting Maestro Evil Eye placed inside a trophy. I wonder what that's for. Obviously, you can look through the head heights in towards Attic and give you that long angle, but it's going to be quite easy for the attack to deal with once they start to get control inside a trophy, inside a master bedroom, and sweeping through. And with both the Thatcher and the Ace coming into play, they're not taking any risks in getting that breach closed down. A couple of shots in towards the main stairs to try and catch out our Jaeger, who has been roaming around, but so far no shots hitting a mark, as he's going to start now getting upstairs and clearing away. Also opening big window, though, so looking for a way to apply a little bit of split pressure onto the Tribal Esports defense here, and just see if they can work an opening pick, try and isolate a member of this defense, but nothing biting for the time being.
Ashman as well downstairs playing the Kavira. Going to be 1-2 look out for in near the end of the round, but instead has rotated back up to the site. And it's the opening pick to come through from Boybach over here in the master bedroom. You said, Ben, that this would be quite a common area of attack, well, for Ronda Rising, and they certainly are putting their priority over to this side. And it's forced Tribal into a little bit of a panic with these flashbangs coming on through as well, making life very difficult for these players to try and sit on the site. Ashman has taken some damage as well. The Kavira's position known, but 087 getting aggressive, swings the window and taking down Eagle. He evens things out to a 4v4.
Cav still lurking at the bottom of White Stairs, but no one else on this attack pushing this half of the map. The focus has been entirely around Attic and the master bedroom breach, with just that one player present playing for presence behind. That's obviously been dealt with, and so we see the rotation from Ashman. No one biting just yet, but now using the impact to try and get aggressive. Well adjusted to by Ronda Rising, who get that pick back. They can now look to keep walking deeper into the site. They have a firm numbers advantage, but it's making sure they don't lose anyone to over-aggressive plays. That's exactly what they're going to do.
087, second kill in the round. Shutting down Boybach, the only one with kills for Ronda Rising. They're in a good position here, Tribal Esports. They've evened out the player count, but as soon as I say it, the commentator's curse comes in yet again. Kita's taken down Goose on the site. Your Maestro now gone. Some plant denial taken away. And also a big fat LMG to boot. Nades come in, the angle being watched, but these players can continue to push their way. 087 is going to find one. He's going to have to ace and can't get it done. Ruckus with a 2k to close out the round. And the first one goes the way of Ronda Rising.
It's just a very good example of how you put together a very standard yet efficient attack on Oregon, right? They had that big window player trying to sort of distract, draw attention away. It didn't matter. They got taken down, you lose that pick, but still just with the efficiency of having two players on Attic pushing down into pit, it denies aggression inside a trophy. You can play very comfortably for your main breach. They worked out the numbers, they were able to play well off of each other for refrags, or well enough that they could push that lead into a round win. And starting off with your first attacking round being a win is a big part of the momentum of this game. You want to come in, you want to have that control from very early on in the series, especially in a best of one, where every single round holds so much weight. Being able to put up, 3 rounds in the attacking half of Oregon, that's a big win for you. If you can try and extend that into 4 rounds. So to already be a decent bit of the way on your first half's goal, very, very happy for Ronda Rising to see that. For Tribal, I think it's just not being too aggressive, right? We've seen a couple times, they're just looking for a gunfight that they just don't have to take. It pays off onto Eagle on the big window, but then they end up losing 2 more picks to people just getting over aggressive. Ashman, chill on the staircase, hold down behind the back line, wait for them to push, come in for the back when they're guaranteed to not be looking at you. We're making too much noise on those plays.
Yeah, indeed, Goose on the site as well. But now it's a new round, a chance to reset here for Tribal Esports, a chance to get their first round on the board. The blue bunker barricade already opened up. That's going to provide some sight lines for this attack, but also it does put the fear factor in a little bit. 087 going aggressive again. We've seen them want to take these early fights, these aggressive engagements. And it worked out in the first round, but also the only player to find picks might be better off just falling back, helping bolster the team on the site. You're playing the dock as well. That's useful utility for the late round. It's the opening pick, though, to come on through in a second. Diabolical with it, but even still, it's a risk. Thankfully, one that works out this time around for Tribal Esports. They find themselves in a 5 versus 3.
Second time we're using information as cost them picks, right? Not checking onto your doorway, walking out too aggressively, making these bold assumptions. And the EMP comes through, Habana upstairs trying to work away at these hatches, doing it from attics, so they're not exposed to any roamers on the middle floor, but the problem is they're still not gaining that space for themselves to actually play around. And now the long angle, that's normally reinforced, opening it up gives the long angle, but not going to hold on to it for too long. Doesn't want to risk losing their life and throwing away this comfortable lead that Tribal Esports have forged for themselves in the opening stages of this round.
087 is still looking for those gunfights, so we see them pretty much immediately rotate over to the freezer and then just start swinging, peeking, trying to find whatever they can. Now things simmer, they settle into a bit more of an easier pace. Hatch control gathered by the attacking side. Eagle still scared to try and push through. Doesn't have any drones left on their person. It's the other two players that are going to have to try and do that. CJ drops the hatch. The Toxic Babe out, denying that position, denying the HP away as well. The opened up wall is a bit of a danger, and Saucy walks right into the crosshairs, but 087 is here again. Boyback answering back with a kill onto Slayerbun, but even still, it's that player that keeps on delivering. Now the dock inside a freezer, pressured upon, swung by Boybuck, but can't land the crucial bullets. 3 versus 2, only 15 seconds left for Ronda Rising to try and get something done, but Boybuck is doing it. Here comes the heal though for Goose, up close. SMG-11 doesn't land, and the shotgun can't as well. It's a quad for 087, but the plant has gone down. 45-second timer now started, and Boybuck can just sit back and wait. 087 it's going to have to be an ace here, or it's nothing. The engagement coming just round this corner. The first shots come out. Both these players on similar HP. Flashbang as well. Trying to go, trying to swing. The heal on up. Playing close, and they get the ace.
Just consistent aggression. He backs away, gets shot in the shoulder as he's stimming himself back up as well. Like, he's at, what, 70 HP, shot in the shoulder? If that's any closer, that's the round over. But managing to get himself back on up, swings into the flashbang as it flies over his head, because he knows at that point in time, if he gets blind screened, he's gonna get gunned down by the Habana on the swinging afterwards. Fantastic work. I mean, I was so worried, right, when they back up and he go to stim up the smoke. When you're at 70p already, 70 HP already, you're looking for just a 40 buff. Like, is that going to be impactful? The smoke goes down afterwards, but you also lose your teammate in the meantime, and you lose that 3v2 advantage, because effectively, 2 of you is sat on the bench having a little breather. But able to pull it off, and an ace at the end of it as well. I mean, Numbers is doing so much work for his team here, and Tribal Esports, when you're looking at the kill spread, you're literally the only player with kills so far.
Literally the only one.
It's all down to him to get the work done, and he's not given up.
Yeah, it was a 1v2 as well in that round. Literally everything is on the back of 087 right now.
Is it going to be a long-lasting recipe for success? Of course not. But when you've got a player who's got that hot hand, who isn't missing shots, you just rely on that to carry you as far as it's going to get, to win you as many rounds as you can. Frostmat spotted out very, very swiftly. Drone hidden away on the bookshelves. It blends in quite well there, to be fair. You know, you're not expecting it to be hidden amongst the children's books.
You're not. Absolutely are not. That's good information, because, again, it's not just that specific Frostmat. Now the attack, they're going to be aware of that possibility elsewhere throughout the map. Always something positive to take, as we're back up on the top floor again here, Ben. Bit of a different approach, 087. The dock worked before, I suppose. Why not try it out again over the Jaeger? This lineup, at least being brought by the defense, seems a little bit more modern in the composition that we see coming in. Oh, an angle spotted between the box. Eagle, some damage out to Ashman. But it's only a very light catch. 66 HP, you're going to be fine with that, and if you get really desperate, the dock's on side as well to just stem them back up.
Yeah, I'd imagine they might go for that, holding a long angle as well. You've crossed over, narrowly missed the opportunity to get some damage into the dock, and you're going to do it. You've taken away, quite literally, the only threat from Tribal Esports so far in this series with that pick. A Nitro Cell flying over the top, huge. But they move away in time. It doesn't land on a single target. a little bit too high, arced it too slow. And you've lost Saucy as well, so now the attack looking once again very comfortable. Continue to pushing this lead.
That C4 looked like it had those two players dead to rights, but instead it's Tribal getting torn apart. CJ with one, shut down by Slayer. At least something back, a response, and finally another player on Tribal Esports gets a kill. It's only taken 3 rounds, but even then, it's only the first. Goose is still farting about in the basement. Eagle has gone down. Probably a frost mat, I would imagine. And indeed it was. Boyback now planting as Eagle gets themselves back up to self-revive. Pings on the player. But the catch isn't there. Boyback shuts out the round, and Ronda Rising, they regain their lead and just say, you know, that was a blip. Well and truly stamp their authority on that round.
And the really nice thing for me to see so far in these opening 3 rounds, specifically from Ronda Rising, is how much better they're approaching the map, right? Last week, we saw them play, and that was the issue we had with them, right? They have the individual ability, they can take gunfights, they can win them. But we're not seeing that work together as a team to put themselves in positions to play for the objective, to get in for a plant, setting up for trades, so they're making sure that it's not just a one and done. They don't swing, and if they lose it, we're back to square one. It's making sure we keep those advantages. We get to hold on to them and make every action that we're taking within the round count. And you're not seeing as much of an individual performance. Last week it was Keats, and obviously this time we've got Boyback doing really well 6 and 2. But it's how the squad are coming in together. Maybe it's because they're playing Oregon. It's a map that they're a lot more comfortable on. But I think that's just the advantage of the map veto phase. That's what it's there to do. It's to set up and enable your team to play as well as possible on ground as comfortable as possible. I'm really liking seeing the initial approach. That's 2 attacking wins on the top floor. Tribal obviously winning out the basement, so they can't go back to it, which has led them to replaying the top floor once again. I mean, this will be 3 plays in 4 rounds, and honestly, I'm looking at this and trying to find a way in which Ronda Rising should lose. From what we've seen the last 2 outings, this is firmly in their control.
Yeah, I've been really liking what I'm seeing from Ronda Rising this game. And you can tell that they've been practicing, that they've been improving. A new team into the tournament just this season. That 1 week can make all the difference. And after what looked like their season was done already last week, the olive branch has been extended, I guess. They've got that opportunity. Now they're taking it with both hands. Yes, World Clubhouse last week was also a very default map. This time around, things are working out for them. Getting the angle on top of the box. They're trying the same thing that worked out for them in the previous, just this angle on through, and it's gonna catch Saucy. Tribal Esports, you cannot fall for that again. You know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah, it's a nice shot, but it's 2 rounds in a row that's happened.
It screams to the lack of discipline on Tribal as well, as Keith's able to get a second, takes down numbers. Now things really starting to look shaky for Tribal, still holding this angle from down in main lobby underneath, but he's spotted out on the drone, injured on and finished off by Boyback, as again, it's a 5 versus 2, you've got to hit the upper side of that car if you want to make the jump. Shots coming in from Trophy to try and slow down the active approach, but Eagle does not care for half a second before they flood on into pit to hunt down the last vulnerable member of the defense.
Yeah, that member is Slayerbun in a 1 versus 5. Has it all to do. One can't even land the first. It's Keith's power player from the first week. Still finding impact, finding kills in this game as well. Things working out, and that's another round where the opening pick has dictated the winner. We're 4 for 4 so far. And that's something that I'm going to be looking for Tribal Esports in this next. They're going back down to the basement. This is the site that they won. At asterisk. It was an ace from numbers, and it was also a 1v2 from numbers. But they got the entry, they converted the round, and that has been the case on the top floor for Ronda Rising all 3 times as well. If they can get this opener, then they might just have a chance. Unfortunately, since that 1v2, numbers is yet to find a kill. In the past 2 rounds, they are 0 for 2 right now. So can they get back to their killing ways? If you're Tribal, you're certainly going to hope so.
We will have to see. I mean, It's a pretty sorry-looking scoreboard so far, but again, slow start. You warm up into the game. Do you want to be warming up on your defensive side of Oregon? Not really. Don't get caught out by early aggression on the barrel's door. I think that's going to be the main thing for Ronda Rising here, especially because we will know we've gotten to watch the entire defensive setup. There's not a massive amount of investment going into a roam. Everyone sat downstairs, pretty happy to chill. You can take that control, play for the hatches around. I'm okay with that. But where do you want to start? Immediately looking to go towards the top floor, taking out the cameras. I like to see it. Again, not skimping out on utility. They're bringing the Thatcher. They're making sure they can get these hatches in spite of the Kaid. There's no tube ramp to try and mess with it. I'm appreciating just how sensible we're being from the side of Ronda Rising. They know that if they just play solid fundamental siege, they should be able to carry out an advantage. And oh, can you get the black eye as well? That's a really nice way to cut down some information, but that opening kill, in spite of the mirror window being cracked, goes in favor of the defense.
Yeah, that's something really positive for them as Slayerbun's able to get a second. Maybe Tribal Esports, they just leave it to a different player to ace each time on this site. And Slayerbun's going to get a third as well. It might just come true. Ronda Rising, they've been unable so far to crack this basement site. Currently on a 3k for Slayerbun, and they find themselves in a 2 versus 5. CJ is taking some heavy damage. The Claymore's able to find the kill onto Numbers. Yet another death. Getting too aggressive, but
no!
The team kill comes in. I guess they deny the ace. Something positive to come from that. But it leaves Boybuck in a 1v4 situation to try and clutch up for their side. The Toxic Babe's going to come through as well. Very difficult position here, Golu.
Yeah, and I'm liking that Tribal Esports, they're not getting too aggressive. They're just going to wait. I mean, all of them want this final kill. I believe Valk's got the Deagle out. No, never mind. Put it away. But still trying to get aggressive, holding the crossfire, but no one overbiting. Toxic Babe's going out just to try and choke up this point. Don't swing into this smoke. You got 30 HP. Just sit and wait, okay? Thank you.
Chill
We don't
out.
need to give up anything here. This should be a free win. Another Toxic Babe. Again, good job buying the time for them. Sitting tight. It's Saucy to get the final kill. No ace, but that was denied by the Habana herself, gunning down her teammate mercilessly.
Yeah. Not allowed
There
to
we
drop
go.
hatches. It's not allowed. Oh dear. Well, I know sometimes things like that happen, and let's face it, you're unlikely to win in a 2v4 anyway. It's very, very difficult, especially on that basement site. We're going back up to Kids Dorms, Ben. We're going straight back into what seemed to be Ronda Rising's stomping grounds so far. I mean, however, they already have their 3 rounds. That's exactly what they would have wanted from this first half on their attack. We've been able to find 3. A 4-2 would be, honestly, but you could potentially try and call game there.
Yeah, it wouldn't quite be game, but it would be as close as you want it to be from the end of your first half. I mean, I think, again, I said this going into the last time we were attacking up here. Ronda Rising, they know what they need to do. Rinse and repeat. It's all on Tribal to change things up. And, I mean, they were even able to get the same Maverick line, like, head glitch kill twice in a row.
Yeah.
And I think that ultimately speaks to what's the case is here for Tribal Esports. It's a lot of individuals trying to just pull off, and by a lot of individuals, it's Numbers trying to do as much as he can. And he moves spot, right? He's not playing pit this time, but there's not that coordination to be like, hey, by the way, they might try this angle. Watch out for it. Because it completely caught Saucy off guard as well. We need to start letting each other know. Oh, hey. We need to let each other know what's going on.
Yeah. Indeed. Communication, big problem. Thankfully, they have a Valkyrie alongside, black eye cameras, to try and relay information to the teammates. But we're seeing the exact same formula being used again here by Ronda Rising. You've got some players up on that closet breach. You've got Ketis over here on the main window. You've got a couple of players inside of Attic as well getting that sort of breach down. It's exactly the same thing. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They haven't needed to change things up here. Keatus nearly finding the catch there through the wall as well. It's not quite going to be the case. But even still, Under Rising, they set themselves up into a good position. They're droning, they're finding information as well. This isn't just completely wasted time. And CJ's able to find the opening pick. On to Ashman. Currently sitting at 0-5. And if you know, the trends would continue, this is looking like it might be around for Ronda Rising. The cross there from Numbers. Caught out by Keatus. Goes in for the double dip. And it doesn't work out. 3 versus 5 now, Ben.
Just a lack of awareness, not expecting the aggression. Smoke now trying to go forward. Drops down Hatch instead. Still trying to figure out if that was intentional or not. But going to wrap back around. Trying to get up behind the team. Still flank options available, right? We saw this last time around, but it looks like they've turned around inside a trophy, getting aggressive. They've placed out a Claymore, but it's not going to be enough. 2 pumps! What? The 3rd pump only gets an injure! How's that not a confirmed kill? Saved by the Claymore, but still, Keats jumps in and gets taken down by the Frost, who's still got 4 more to find, if they have the care in the world to pick up the ace, but Uncle Ruckus does not care for his fallen comrade. He's going to just go for that final kill, land the shots required, and they've ended the first attacking half 4-2 up.
You've got a feel for Goose there. That is possibly one of the gunfights of all time. But again, Ronda Rising, they get the opening pick, they convert on it. And again, it was Slayer Bun left in a 1 versus 5. Just like in round 4, the exact same as what we saw coming out in round number 6. Now, we switch up the sides, and this is always a possibility for change. Maybe we're seeing an attacker-sided matchup so far. Tribal Esports, they might get 5 rounds and win this out in regulation time. They might get 4, send us into overtime. We just don't know. However, Ronda Rising, they've certainly looked the strongest side so far. With 4 successful attacks on this site in particular, up on the top floor, you'd have to think that they know how to defend it, right?
Well, stranger things have happened, right? I mean, yeah. The baseline assumption is that they have a good understanding of priority. They were very good at making sure they got that attic opened swiftly. We're seeing a very similar sort of attempt of lineup coming through from Tribal as well, right? You got the Thatch, you got the Ace, you got the Maverick, you got someone, probably the Buck, who can go and help him open up that wall afterwards. Once you know, sort of, if you want to trick it, or even just make yourself a crouch circle, so you can crouch on into attic rather than opening up the full wall, which is also quite common behind the fridge to give yourself that little bit of extra safety. Droning on into T2, making sure there's no one there, and moving swiftly through to try and start working away at this breach. Do you want to have a flank drone for yourself, or just take a little couple of peeks? Making sure that someone's watching it. Nice to see.
Yeah, you got the Nomad on side as well, so we'll be able to place an air jab onto that staircase eventually. Just deciding on the exact best place to put it. Seems like as good a spot as any to me right there. Yep. Trying the same sort of a glitch angle. But the key difference here is that no one from Ronda Rising is offering themselves up to that possibility. They're not even challenging that sort of area. They just go, you know what, I'll leave this alone. CJ sitting inside of attic, sure. They're just inside a pit, sitting back, making sure that no one actually pushes on through. The closet breach opened up as well. Good progress for Tribal, but they're not quite being offered the same openings.
Ooh, Uncle Ruckus needs to be careful in the back, but is able to skirt back towards the top of White Stairs. Again, no extension into Trophy either, which has made the start of this round less sort of aggressive, but what a shot from CJ Monkey. I mean, that's a way to deal with a threat. A second trying to challenge onto the angle. He waits patiently, but Ashman with the pre-fire gets that important pick back. You free up a little bit of space to keep going a little bit further towards the bomb site. They got that diffuser as well, so you can keep it in hold. A camera thrown out to try and gather information ahead of you, but the flank from Keats is coming through now, and they're not going to turn around.
I don't know if they're aware of this. We saw a similar situation. Uncle Ruckus has gone down, but there's a kill from Keats. The Claymore, they're aware of it, not quite going to step into the fire. And E-Girl answering back as well. It's a 4 versus 2, kind of a 3v2, while that player's downed and now evened up. Uncle Ruckus still down on the floor, and Ashman's found a double to make it a 2 versus 2. Eagle on the site. Keats is low and isolated. The two attackers, they can isolate the pick here onto the player that's on the site. So it means Keats is going to have to try and rotate, and Eagle's alone on an island inside a kid's dorms. But I don't think they're aware of it. Still watching for that flank coming in from Keats. Ashman's going to get this diffuser down. They play the objective. They know the time's low. The C4 route doesn't land the catch. And I believe they just spotted an angle. Keats up from the stairs is going to find one. And Eagle shuts it down. Ronda Rising yet again finding a win up on the top floor.
Go for default. Just go it. You're in a safer spot. The Nitro,
it's a default for a reason.
Right? Maybe that still gets you, but you're safe from the swing on top of white in a really good adaptation, right? Keats recognizing that he's bought off all the time, he's gotten the pick he needs in the top of Armory Corridor, runs back through sight in spite of how low that clock is, because he knows if they sits there, if they wait for the attack to pick which 2v1 they want to make, getting that retake or trying to stop that diffuser is going to be so much harder as a result of it. You're taking away Tribal's ability to pick and choose how they want to play the round. You force them in through the chokes. Really well played in the end by Ronda Rising. And again, less pressure at the start of the round. Sometimes it doesn't work out for you, right? You gave a lot of space to Tribal Esports. They had no contention in getting open the main breach. They were able to play for Attic somewhat quite well. But then they still need to find a way into sight, and you have that utility focused a little bit further back. You still have 4 people alive as opposed to the 3 or 2 that you had to deal with yourselves when you were attacking. It's a different way of approaching it, but ultimately it worked out really well into Tribal Esports.
Indeed it did. And we're seeing a Kali here from Ashman. I'm not entirely sure why. I feel like of all of the sites, the basement certainly wouldn't be the one where you'd want to bring a Kali along top floor. I can understand you can hold a long angle from the big window, I guess.
Mirror window.
Crack a mirror window, I suppose, but you can also just do that with Ash as well, and that's not like a you don't have like a cumbersome weapon to use if you've got Ash because you have an R4C. Instead, you got the sniper and not even bringing along the automatic secondary.
Yeah,
so,
you can't. To be fair, you can't hit a 360 no scope on Ash. So
I get, well, you can hit a 360 no scope with any gun.
Yeah, that's not a 360 no scope if it's not a sniper.
That's very true.
Maybe a slug shotgun. Maybe you get it with, like, if you're on the boss G, maybe we'd allow it.
Yeah, because that's kind of a sniper-y shotgun, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's got the
ACOG.
half
marks.
It's got the ACOG.
You're capped at 50%. Still can get a third with that though, so not too bad.
Yeah.
But now have to try and find another way down. Going to pull out the Rotero drone to try and get this shield off of Elbow. Focus on the ADS, and there's also a Goyo canister there as well. Going to immediately push through the flames. Takes a little bit of damage, but it's ultimately not that much as a second Rotero goes through and clears out the 90 shield. You have a lot less to worry about. Going to breach open into box as well, but aggression from on pillar. It hasn't been checked. That's again, they're going to walk into a doorway looking for a second, but the Kali thinks twice. Yeah,
it's a difficult fight to take with that, and the Kai trick comes through on the breach as well. Keats has taken a lot of damage from that sniper rifle. 29 HP now. Still looking for more picks. Spots the player! Oh my god! What a shot that is before getting downed. Ruckus hits the deck as well. So it is a 3 versus 3, and now Boybuck's taken out. Ruckus is still downed here. Nice little double to come out from Goose. Suddenly, Tribal Esports, they have the advantage here, Ben. It's just these last 40 seconds in the round. Goose nearly finds a catch onto CJ as well, or actually, I believe that might be Eagle. Inside a supply room. Slayer Bun trying to go for the backstab inside a laundry. That barricade being broken gives the sound away, and finally Ruckus is confirmed upon the TCSG. Another slug shotgun. Not quite a 360 no-scope, but long-range weapon against long-range weapon. Works out for the defense. Now 2 versus 2. CJ Monkey Boy has the mirror window as well. The information down now into red time as the final seconds of the round come on through. It's all up to Goose, and E-Girl is there. Ronda Rising convert yet another opening pick, and they have themselves match point.
I mean, that's why mirror windows are so OP, right? You just get to stare and swing when you want to. I appreciate the attempts, right? You're trying to come around the back with the buck as well, but when you get to 3 versus 2, you just need to start pushing, and ultimately that's what we missed, right? No one wanting to take that aggressive action. Gridlock on the back stairs, not walking down. Buck in washing, not pushing forward, not opening up the barricade to threaten a dive a bit deeper into Laundry. One of you has to make that move, and especially when you got 3 players before you lose the Kali as well, it's probably going to be focused around that backside, right? Gridlock, Kali, push forward, get down, try and force a trade, try and force a pick, force the mirror to turn around. That's what enables the opening for the Buck. You can work these 3v2s, maybe come down Freezer, get a side angle going, right? Where it's not going to be quite so obvious as to how we're supposed to deal with you on the side of the defense there. Options for Tribal Esports, and you're starting to see that experience where Ronda Rising have been able to pull off these rotations, where they've had players move into better spots late into round. That same experience isn't quite there yet with the Tribal Esports squad. These are all learning opportunities for them to start figuring out how that can work just a little bit better. So I think, so far, you can take away a lot of positives from this in terms of ways to improve. And I think just experience is the most important thing that you're looking to gain here. Ooh, don't go for the reinforcement. Okay, pull down the barricade. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Get back safely. Get back safely.
It's all about being safe. It's easy once you're on match point to let things slip. Obviously 6-2. You can afford a couple of rounds to go by the wayside, and on this tertiary as well. You'd maybe expect it. But it's very easy to get into that one more round mentality. That's exactly what we don't want to see. Just take things round by round. Kali again. If only they knew how close it. Oh, it's a hard wall. Never mind. We both got excited there.
Just use better sheets.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can shoot people through the reinforcement, then easy. They don't have a Maverick either, so it's unfortunate. As the site gets opened up.
Yeah, opening up showers as well, setting in the flashbangs to try and force it out. It's an important first section to take, but a hefty shot into the shoulder of Numbers, who's looking to prime a Candela into sight to try and swing the advantage. You stand up into the blind!
Oh,
with a swing from showers! Warden saving him out, bailing out the Kaid. And now you retake complete control of the corridor. You put yourself in a 5 versus 3. You're walking out and give your life away, but trade it with your teammate from behind you.
The finest of margins right now. If Saucy can get recovered, it's a 4 versus 3, but inside the middle of small tower, it seems unlikely with a watch over from Yellow and from possibly the site as well. You found themselves a position by the stairs, and it's actually able to find it. Goose exchanging some shots inside of the showers. With a 4v3 now regained. Low health, on all of these players. It rests on just these ones. Eagle, though, gets scared, runs back, and gets caught out. Boy back now, the next one to step into the fold. The shot is missed, and the final trailing bullet hits the player, and a second as well. Diffuser down, now Goose in a 1 versus 3. Left to try and clutch up, to do it all. Just the 1 kill so far in this match. And they have 3 to find here. It's not going to be done. CJ Monkey with the closer. And Ronda Rising. Another 7-2 scoreline for them. But this time, it is a victory. For Tribal, they fall foul to the same result.
A big win for Ronda Rising. It locks themselves in that second semi-final spot coming out of their group. Tremendous effort to make it into the next stage of competition. Commiserations, of course, for not being able to get that win. It was unfortunate from Tribal Esports, but I think you have to say Ronda Rising just looked like a higher class of team in that game, honestly. And I don't want to be too harsh, but they looked ready. They looked like they were pushing together as a squad. That was the biggest improvement from last week. I think back to their game before, where they weren't looking for ways to line up for trades. They weren't looking to carry forward these picks, right? They'd get a pick, then they'd kind of stumble around. They'd sort of wait nervously. This week, get the pick on pit, immediately start walking down and seeing that what's the word I'm looking for? Just the ability to just take the round into their own hands, right? To make those actions, to not hesitate, fantastic to see.
And hey, if that's the improvement that we see from in just 1 week, imagine what we'll see when we get to those semi-finals in another week's time. The improvements, hopefully for them, will just keep on coming. As for Tribal, unfortunately, they do not make it to that Elite Series bracket, which is a shame for them. As you can see the result there, Ronda Rising on 6 points now in that group. But it was a very good win, like we've been saying. They look like a well-drawn team. For a team that's new just this season, the improvements have been incredible. They now look like they can hang it with the best. And that's exactly what you want, right?
Yeah? I don't know. I think...
Trying to big them up. I'm trying to big them up here, Ben. Come on.
I don't like lying. No,
Wow.
I think Ronda...
That's
No,
harsh.
I'm joking. Like, I think Ronda Rising looks really, really good.
Yeah.
The difficulty is it's a lot easier to make those improvements in a short time span when you very clearly get to see what went wrong for you, right? And it's one of the things people talk about is like you go and play against harder teams, you'll learn a lot more. What do you take from Ronda Rising, right? How do you look at that game you just played where you've looked consistently very dominant, you've dominated the opening picks? The only real slip-ups that you had in that last game were when you just like were very negligent and sort of walked up freely and just gifted kills. And even then, it's like, what, we walked up to a mirror window and didn't respect the mirror window. Okay, cool. Oh, we just didn't drone Barrel's door and got like 3K'd. Okay, cool. We can bear those things in mind. I think that's always the difficulty. It's staying humble even in face of a really, really big win. And I think that's what Ronda Rising need to do, because honestly, like, we're looking at both Rejects and Pirates, still really, really good teams. And I don't know, it's hard to say without having seen them play against a higher caliber of opponents since that last outing, whether we're going to be able to see them take down their opponent in the semi-finals, because the Rejects are not going to be an easy game for them to play. If they can, fair play, and I apologise and I take it all back. But I need to see it to believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is going to be the true test next week, it feels like. But that's for next week when we get to see them play. We are going to throw it to a break. This was a fairly quick game, so the break might be a little longer than we want, but we'll try and get the players in early. It's time for the final match of Group B, another playoffs qualification game. It's the Wolfhounds versus the Pirates coming up after this. Welcome back, everyone. We're back on your screens. Finally, it was a bit of a long wait, but finally we have returned. I'm still Pastor, still joined, of course, by GoluMolu. We're going to be taking you through this game as well. The Wolfhounds versus the Pirates. Again, to qualify for the playoffs, we have this match here, Ben, in Group D. D? B?
It's a big one, right? Seeing who can come out, who can get that second spot. It's really important. You've got to make it as far as you can. This is the last day, the last game of groups. And you want to be in that semi-finals next week. You want to be able to put yourself in the chance for the finals, of course. You want the glory. And we are led to believe that this is a bit of a grudge match, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So we have classmates clashing against classmates. So that's always going to be a little bit of an extra little bit of value if you can get that win. Obviously, the bragging rights are the most important thing that you can possibly claim in any competition. The prize is secondary to getting to gloat over everyone else that you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, can I lord this over other people? And that is what we have. So again, in Group B, both of these teams sitting on 3 points because they have a free win against an invisible bye team, just to make the two groups have 4 teams in them. So realistically, both of these teams haven't won a game yet. A 7-4 loss to the Rejects from the Wolfhounds. A 7-5 loss to the Rejects from the Wolfhounds. And it was a 7-4 loss for the Pirates against the Rejects. So both of these teams, they lost to the Rejects, obviously. That's why they sit at the top of the group at 9 points. But now we see the match between them, and this is going to be that great divide, and also we have that extra grudge match potential. The bans have been coming on through while we find ourselves here on Clubhouse. The Vigil ban again here, Ben, but I'm looking at the Warden.
Yeah, I think that's another interesting one. It obviously implies that we might see some Yings or some Glazes come through. The double shield ban, and look, that obviously means only one thing. Fuse shield has got to come through. Someone has to do it. We've been seeing that pop up, right? You get the double shield bang, you hit them with the surprise third shield. They don't know what's coming. It's a recipe for success.
Fuse?
Fuse shield?
I love Fuse. My favourite operator.
You gotta play the shields. Shields are OP, man. When
They
shields
really
are very,
are.
very good, shields are very, very good. You got to be able to use and abuse them. It's just the way of the world that we live in right now. And I think, that's why we're seeing, obviously, the Monty and the Blitz ban come through. Both very, very good. But you can't sleep on that Fuse shield. I mean, you can run the PMM, high damage pistol. Does, 63 damage a shot? 9 rounds? Very, very
Something
good.
Crazy.
You got the GSH-18 if you want to be a little bit more of the spray and pray, trying to put down the suppressive fire, which was my personal weapon of choice back when you could hip fire. You can't hip fire anymore, of course, because they balanced shields in the update. They made sure that they were fun and fair to play against. So I think that's always.
Are you sure that they're fair to play against necessarily?
No comment. No comment. Moving swiftly on. But that's not obviously going to come out. I think that is more of a niche pick that you see only when teams really want to abuse the shields. Normally a double shield ban means that both teams are pretty happy to pass up on either of them. Starting off though pretty standard, the attacking lineup looking somewhat normalized. However, I am liking the use of Striker, right? These new recruit operators, we see them pop in and out sometimes. Striker, I think, a little bit more common than Sentry, but getting both the EMP and the hard breach charge to be able to play very selfishly around these breaches, not need anyone else. You can just, as a solo operative, run around and open up the walls that you want to have later on in the round. Really nice use of the utility, sort of options.
Yeah, very, very powerful there. The Montaigne and the Blitz being banned away means that we do get an opportunity for more of the execute-focused operators in the roam clear as well. We've got a Ying to come on through this time around, who often finds herself banned away. Not to be in this game, though. Candela's able to be used, blinding out the enemies and just getting a lot of control off of the back of that. Logistics hatch opened up now then. So we look into the actual round. Information being gained as well. The Pirates, they're going to want to get this entry into there, but it's actually Flectum who finds a pick onto Joshi, using that drone hole tucked close in the corner, and finds out the player. Information being gathered there very well, putting the drones to good use.
has the option to go back for this construction wall now, later on in the round. Obviously, a mirror window can still threaten onto it, or you're afraid of presence inside of logistics, but that's why you've played for this hatch as well. So the work done earlier by the Pirates getting ready to drop themselves in, and Nomad holding the crossfire to make sure it's only one angle to worry about. A smoke hitting the roof to try and cover the drop, but it's not good enough as Pingo's going to go down immediately.
Yeah, that's not great. The second drop comes through as well. Trooper Lane lucky to escape with their life there in that situation. The C4 out as well, trying to collect and confirm on it, but engagement goes away from them. More damage being dealt across the map though. Flectum inside a CCTV encountering the goo mines. And another as well, as we have Kanye East inside a construction. A lot of control gained now by the Pirates, but they don't necessarily have a lot of time to try and work it. Loach is on the window as well. Spots one onto the player. Can they get the catch? Yes. Coben going down to make it a 3 versus 4, but the Wolfhands are still in a pretty good position. The fire from the Capitao will deny some of that space and the area, but now that it wears off, the retake can come on in yet again. Flecton finally gets the clutch and the connection, but goes down themselves, trying to push into the fire and the flames. The bathroom is the point of contact, and there's just no time. They don't look in the right way, but the plant wasn't coming through anyway. A scrappy round to come on out, but it's the Wolfhounds that end up finding it.
Mira went prone, hit the floor just as she walked into bathroom to try and hunt down the kill. And I mean, look, I don't think that's the round-altering moment there, but still, the narrow skin of the teeth to avoid getting spotted out right at the end. A really nice job so far from the Wolfhounds and how they wanted to hold on to that. A little bit of a slip-up from the Pirates on that initial execution in towards logistics, right? The smoke not going very deep in, meant the Valkyrie able to contest and try and play aggressively. You're already seeing an impact from that initial Warden ban, though, right? With the heavy lean into the Ying, into the Capitao, that I really like to see teams try and do and innovate in their ban phase. And already, again, round number 2, we're seeing this lineup with the Glaz being hovered. It's going to get changed away onto the Habana. You got a Capitao coming in instead. But you can see the idea floating around the Pirates. They're just trying to find some sort of innovative way to make Clubhouse unfavored for the Wolfhounds.
Yeah, indeed. And that's the first round that we've seen today, in fact, where the opening kill has not impacted the round win. Pirates unable to convert on that, which is unfortunate, but still an opportunity again. And it looks like they're still going for aggression. You can see an Amaru and a Glaz floated at least early on. Instead, something a bit more traditional. Still opting for the Ossa, but the Ying coming through from Loach. Again, it's the same sort of ideas. Those Candelas. You got the Capitao as well, likely going to be used to clear out the garage. Pretty standard stuff coming in with just a couple of slight tweaks.
Set up a shield outside the breach as well. You got the pocket EMPs to work in tandem with the thermite to get the breach open on up. But Bandit set there to try and trick it off, which is a little bit of a hard task to try and open up in spite of them. Pigo working on the garage walls though does offer the chance to shoot an asphyxiation bolt up if they want to, if they can get it past. There's no denial to catch it because it avoids the ADSs of the Jaeger. You need the Wamai if you want to prevent Capitao. So chance to use that to try and get the bandit trick off, but instead, oh, a last second save from Champ.
Champ on Wii.
Don't put it down the middle, can you? Pick one. Don't parlor it.
Is that an official?
Oh, he's gone for the left. Champ's gone for the right. This is the chance. He doesn't have time. The breach is open.
That's really smart as well there from Kanye East. They baited it out, went for the right initially, but didn't quite complete the animation, then switched it onto the left-hand side. And completely discombobulating Champon Wee there on the site. Very nicely done, but unfortunately it's taken a lot of time here, Ben. We're 2/3 of the way through the round, and yet they don't necessarily have much to show for it. Now a little bit of damage being dealt over onto Barrow on the rafters. And a player inside of bedroom's going to be able to find the opening kill. But it's still not necessarily the best control now. things are starting to get moving. Pigo finding that pick as well. Makes it a 5 versus 3. Good advantage here for the Pirates. Just want to see if they can hold it on this time. The Candela into construction and, yeah, absolutely knows the position. The player here. The toe's been spotted out as well. Coburn is dead to rights, you would imagine, and indeed, Loach collects on the kill, looking to perhaps be a flawless round here, and indeed it is. Kanye coming up the red stairs to lock things out for the Pirates.
And it all started to work so well after they got that breach open, right? It took them a little bit longer than you might have wanted to, about a minute 40 into the round, but once they got there, they started to apply that pressure across the rest of the top floor. They have their sweep coming through from Jacuzzi side, all coming together by pushing down onto red stairs. A really nice take from the Pirates and a good way to regain that momentum after dropping that initial round. And again, we're seeing them be in these positions where they can clear out a decent bit of the map, they can start to work their way towards it, and that execution, they are all going to hit that go button. They are all going to go and commit at the same time. It's just making sure that they can follow through on that and actually find the kills necessary. In that last round, they got the flawless. They corrected that form.
Yeah, indeed, they did. It was a very strong round in the previous. Now, down to the basement. Often the first choice for teams, but instead the Wolfhounds are bringing it out third. Just to try and bolster things here in the middle of the half. And again, it's a very, very strong site, and for good reason. We've got a Clade coming along through as well, can deny up some of those hatches, with a Valkyrie and a Mira being brought alongside. You'd have to say the Wolfhounds look like they're in a very good spot, just based on a very rudimentary early assessment.
Default camera work being done, peeks out towards the Fawn Peak, commonly taken from Secret. Not anyone there, but always good to be cautious. Don't recoil. What did the wall ever do to you, mate? Kanye finally takes down the doorway. Drone coming through for Pigo. He's got the Boss G in hand, not on the Vigil, but on the Dokkaebi instead, as first steps crossing over into Bar. The Legion narrowly avoiding conflict for the time being, but has to stay on the move if they want to keep ahead of the Dokkaebi. Ducking in behind the Bar counter. I don't think it's been read into. I think they're checking down on the left. The default camera should see them. Peek over the top, mate.
No. Okay. For a second, I thought that fight might be whiffed, and there is a response to coming through from Trooper Lane. Something positive in from the toilets, making sure things don't get out of hand. But Coburn is still a nuisance. Up on the top floor, the roam hasn't yet been dealt with by the side of the Pirates.
Still running around. Coburn upstairs. I mean, the roaming Malusi, yeah, it's not the most common, is it? Obviously, as a 3-speed, you make a lot more noise, you move a lot slower, but still drones going upstairs trying to deal with it. The verticality, in most part, done already by the Ram of Flectum, but Hatch still closed off. They've got the EMPs, they got the Hibana ready, but they just have to make sure they use them in unison, so they're not going to waste any time as the EMP goes out, but doesn't hit the first claw. The second will be successful, and the X-Crows are thrown out as well. That should be a hatch open as Flectum able to get a pick onto Coburn. That's trying to come down red stairs, trying to get involved on the flank.
Yeah, very good catch there coming through from Flectum, making sure that things don't get too out of hand, especially on that roam. The awareness that there's a player there can often cause you to slow down, and if we know one thing from round number one, it's that the Pirates, they don't want to slow down, because that's when things get messy. That's when things end up getting into a bad spot for them. Right now, they've still got 40 seconds, and they have this player advantage. They've got the spot on one player inside of the dirt tunnel as well. They know that it's 2 versus 4 directly onto the site.
Time to ring some ears.
Opening up the dirt tunnel as well, just to try and provide even more avenues of approach. Making sure things go down well. Can't quite get in that breach. Loach is inside of blue though. Flectum's taking some damage. Trooper Lane as well, but the player is there. Flectum with a down, and there's one as well. It's a 1 versus 4 now for Champ. On the other side, far away from the action, it's not going to be easy, and in fact it's going to be impossible. The Pirates find their second round, an expert dissection of the Wolfhounds' defense.
keep on going, get onto the next round again. It's built off this ability to limit the actions Wolfhounds can take. Kanye letting us know what he thinks the score should be, very in character as well. Completely ignoring the reality that Wolfhounds do have a round. They did actually win number 1. Back to Gym Bedroom, this is where the Wolfhounds are successful. And they'll be looking for this is the Pirates, we're looking for a way to try and change that fate. Again, we're seeing the Ying come through. That's in the pocket of Lock this time. It was the Capitao as well to try and play for that drop down into Logistics hatch, but the smoke wasn't quite placed properly. It landed on the rooftop instead, and while that created a weird sort of one-way, when you're landing with your head in the smoke, obviously you're the one that's going to get gunned down pretty swiftly. The rest of the clear was pretty good for them, though. The Wolfhounds were looking to try and stave that off a little bit longer. You're seeing them mute again this time, try and come on through. EMPs will come to try and open up these external walls, but I think you have to do a better job at putting sort of utility into them, which force the Pirates to have the right pieces in the right spot.
10 seconds to insertion.
Indeed.
5 seconds remaining.
Very similar approach from the Pirates. They believe in the plan that they had the previous time around, with the striker on side as well from Loach, who is still yet to die in this game. Kanye as well. And if they can just speed things up a little bit, you'd argue that the round should have been won for them in the previous, and that appears to be the sort of methodology that they're coming along with here. It's a fairly swift approach into the building itself. The hatch, I assume, will be opened up in due course. And again, with this striker, fairly selfish utility, but very, very useful for an attack. They can open up a wall all by themselves with the EMPs. The hard breach charges construction is now an area where the Pirates can enter.
Jones flying through into Logistics once again. They have to do a better job of protecting themselves on the drop down. Still trying to work for the breach over on Jacuzzi as well. But you've got a Kaid currently doing a good job of keeping that closed on up and tricking it off. EMP still in the pocket of Lock, who's going to fire out, but immediately met by a second Electro Claw. That should catch absolutely everything. The breach stays closed, picks it up again, and challenges you to throw another Selma. Actually cancelled the animation, let it sit there, as the second one is now reactivated after the EMP runs off. So that's looking a little bit doomed. Again, prepping around this drop. No Warden because of the ban, but still too scared to make that initial drop.
Yeah, no Selmas left as well. That got absolutely everything. Now the Candelas come on out, the smokes as well. The drop, you'd assume, is coming in from the Pirates, and indeed, Trooper Lane now down. Flectum has been taken out by Joshi, though. Elsewhere, the C4 out, not going to catch, but sprinting right into the waiting arms of Barrow, and another taken out. Loach finally shut down inside of Logistics, but it's still a 1 versus 3 to try and find, and Champon Wee says absolutely not. Threading the needle on the angle and brings the Wolfhounds level.
And again, we're dropping into the Logistics. We're focused so heavily on this one position, and we're not properly droning it out. We sent in like 2 drones. How is Barrow not getting spotted? How is the push into construction not coming through at the same time? They've looked very organised, both on attacking cash and on attacking basement, but for some reason, Logistics drop just doesn't seem to pan out. We're not playing for a full normal take of things. We're so all in on this one idea, and it hasn't worked out. Wolfhounds have gotten 2 rounds off the back of pretty similarly responses, right? They just wait. They bait out the drop, and then they reaggress into you when you have nowhere to go.
Yeah, and although that was a lot cleaner from the Wolfhounds this time out, I think they ended with 3 players left alive, and well, it's certainly a lot better than the absolute brawl and bloodbath that happened in the very final moments in round number 1. They continue their rotation up here to CCTV. Not necessarily the best of memories here for the Wolfhounds. It was a flawless round for the Pirates last time out. They're going to have to hope, at least the Wolfhounds are, that, well, it's a different story here. As for the Pirates, if they can repeat that result, they will be absolutely laughing with their 3rd attack on this clubhouse attack.
No one in the spawn peak again. Reinforcing up cash. I think it's interesting that we've seen this prioritization of cash over the basement, which is almost unheard of these days. Immediately opening up the construction single wall, so once again the Pirates showing that they want to have options for when it comes to the late round flanks. We saw construction kind of a core part of their final push when attacking in towards cash, making sure they had the sweep come through from logistics. They wanted to have that opportunity to go through the breach as well to make for a quick rotation spot. Much more spread out this time from the Pirates though, also looking at downstairs. The concussion blast, the breaching round coming through again.
Oh, the
it's
EMP's
not,
too late.
but the Electro Claw gets the hard breach as well. We're not double rolling. We now only have one EMP. That wall should stay closed unless they can get underneath and try and mess with it. But when it's an Electro Claw as well, I don't know if that's good enough.
And they're slow on the catch-up as well. I don't know if this will be opened only just. Champ on Wii getting EMP'd out there, and the opener is found by Pigo. Very quickly doubled down upon as well by Loach. Suddenly, it's a 5 versus 3. Joshi at least responds onto Trooper Lane, but with that wall now opened, what looked like suddenly it was like this round is so winnable for the Wolfhounds. The Pirates have brought things back. They have the wall open. They have that player advantage, and that is starting to tighten around this bomb site.
Ferry coming in towards the top of the staircase. The flank through garage now coming through as well.
Oh,
Shoots
no.
into the back at Kanye's head. Runs up red to escape his fate. A drop over the balcony as Joshi Moshi goes for the triple. Pigo, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish. A third now staring in towards construction. The Candela's flying in as well, but so far no one too disrupted. Drops off the ledge outside the main breach, climbs right back on up and tries to challenge in towards radio, where the Goyo's getting just a little aggressive.
Yeah, now into the site as well. Joshi Moshi inside of the garage. Flegtom's been able to go into the site, but just like that, the Wolfhounds find their picks. A topsy-turvy round there, Golu. But it's the Wolfhounds who come out on top.
A massive misunderstanding of objective there, though, right? We're so focused on getting that garage control that when Legion gets aggressive, we're looking up through the breaches. We're not expecting that pressure coming down red, and it all starts to fall apart from there. We don't need to drop down off the rafters and hunt down this Legion. If he wants to come behind us, we have to either choose. You full push into the Legion, you fully commit to shutting down the flank, or you push real hard into sight knowing that you've also got a numbers advantage there. You pick one or the other, and we saw members from Pirates unable to make that call. They split up from each other too frequently, and it led to just picks after picks going in favour of Wolfhounds, who were able to solidify on their defensive round.
Yeah. And they have the opportunity for a 4-2 half hit, which is kind of what it's the baseline, right? If you're getting a 4-2 half, you've done your job. Obviously, a 3-3 isn't the end of the world on Clubhouse specifically, but
10 seconds to go.
it feels like the Pirates, they should have more. They've got 3 of the entry kills, but in fact, 2 of those times they haven't converted the round. But with those entry kills, you think they should be having more rounds. They're getting themselves into brilliant positions. That previous round, they got to a 5 versus 3, and yet it slips away from them.
We do have a pre-placed nitro cell in the middle of this kitchen corridor, which is interesting, right? Because normally I'd be fine with that, but when you're up against a ram, you're not going to be able to get a kill with that. The drone will drive on through, rip open the floor. It'll either get destroyed by the boogie or will be spotted out afterwards. I feel like this is a misunderstanding of what's going to happen. But once again, we have Joshi this time on the Legion running around the top floor. Last time, he was caught out inside a bar. Not before getting a kill, to be fair to him, but was caught out around the bar. Do the drones commit to going upstairs? You'd be almost hoping here as Pirates that you do make sure that you pay enough attention. I believe that's a drone silhouette going upstairs, but not fully checking.
Yeah,
They've been a little bit lazy.
Coben was up there the last time around as well on the Melusi, so the precedent has been set for a player up on the top floor. And again, in goes that Ram. I believe that's gotten the C4. You'd imagine it has. The Impact EMP doesn't find the Kaid Claw. Okay, does on the second attempt, but now that's that resource ruined. And yeah, Joshi Moshi from the stairs finding the Impact. They didn't check for the roam, and it's cost them. Now he has the opportunity to try and rotate, make things difficult for this attack. And look, they're careful. They don't know where to look, but he just goes for the drop regardless. I'm not sure about that.
It's a little bit unnecessary, right? You're not being pressured on the top floor. There's nothing incentivizing you to drop yet. Your teammates aren't under pressure on side of site. It's just an over-aggressive call, and has cost them the life, has given a little bit of extra safety now around Pirates, but they should be still somewhat on edge. Who else is roaming around? If we miss the first, could we miss a second? Oh no. Doesn't work like that, bud.
Yeah.
You can't use it with the next Kairos. You got to use those on the breach. Try and get down this mirror window. Going to run up to it instead. A bold move to cross back and again in towards Moto. Fire still cutting off on the backside of blue. As you're waiting for that to dissipate before getting a little bit more aggressive. The opening of the wall, the shots come through. You get Champ on Wii down. That frees a little bit of space now to push on in, but still players behind the table.
Oh, doesn't spot the player though. Doesn't end up mattering. At least in this engagement, Coben's still there, Barrow with a pick, and now 2 or 3 versus 3 as Champon Wee still downed on the site and unlikely to be recovered. Flexon though with one, the impact grenade just dealing damage to the self. It might not matter, Barrow and Coben, they're finding the kills anyway. It's all up to Flexon, but Barrow's in a 1 versus 1. All he has to do is run away, but the diffuser getting planted just in the nick of time. And I don't think they're aware of it. They have the ping, but it's misleading. It doesn't give the right information, and finally that impact comes on into a true 1 versus 1 situation. They have the read, they have the player, they have the swing, and the kill! Barrow, 3 massive kills in that round, and the Wolfhounds do get their 4th.
Defenders have disabled the bomb diffuser.
Backing up, going back in, respecting the space, playing for the clock, and getting aggressive again when that diffuser is going down. Misjudged the time a little bit, I think, but with the information inside of sight, also you have your injured Mira who's still relaying as much information as possible, works out for the Wolfhounds in the end, and they bring it back from what started out a little shaky to a very convincing last couple rounds to make sure that they end with the 4 rounds that you kind of require to play out Clubhouse. Kind of successfully, right? You want to go into your attacks now with that good footing. 4-2 does exactly that for you. The Wolfhounds will have a lot more freedom in terms of how they want to take these rounds. But again, we're seeing an interesting prioritization of these bomb sites. Immediately up towards cache and server. I don't know how I feel about this.
No. Again, it feels like maybe they're trying to overcomplicate things a little bit. Like I believe that's a criticism we had of the Pirates last week, Ben, was sometimes they just needed to play it simple. And we've seen that come through at least a couple of times in this game as well. I'm thinking about that logistics drop with the Capital Fire. They tried to do the one way, but it didn't really come to fruition, and you're just blocking off your own line of sight, and they can see you long before you can see them.
5 seconds.
Obviously, this might be a master stroke. They might be the best CCTV and cache team in the world. But it seems to me that maybe there's a little bit of overcooking going on here.
Carly is an interesting choice coming through. We've seen a little bit of Carly. Obviously, we saw it earlier today on Basement of Oregon. It worked out pretty well for them, right? In spite of the fact that they, I believe, lost that round, but I don't think that can really be faulted too much specifically. It wasn't the Carly's fault.
No, I wouldn't say so. They got like 2 kills, 2 or 3 kills, so you know.
Yeah. It's brought to try and deal with the bandit batteries, and it will do that, right? If 2 are placed down and you shoot a lance into the wall, you're guaranteed to get one of them. You slowly whittle away the utility, and you pair that with the fact that you got the EMPs. The charge placed down, this should be an easy place for Kanye, but he just doesn't. Asleep at the wheel, and breach goes over.
Oh no.
Located by attackers.
Again, it's another situation. where the breach is opened far too easily and far too quickly. Really, obviously it was the Pirates accomplishing that feat in the first half. Now the Wolfhounds giving them a taste of their own medicine, perhaps, as the entry comes on the other side of the map towards that jacuzzi breach. And Flighttom inside of bedroom does need to be careful. The castle barricade will provide a bit of extra solace and protection. As the drones come on out, they will spot out this player eventually, as there's also drones coming in on towards the bomb site. Coben uses the last Selma to try and take that away and perhaps maybe find a wallbang. In fact, Flectom has repositioned. If there are still drones active, this is going to be the freest kill of their lives, but it doesn't seem like the information is there.
Spotted out inside a lounge, and that's obviously another thing that Wolfhounds still have to find a way to deal with the time ticking against them so quickly.
So
Only
slow.
50 seconds left. Ace walking into this doorway. They have absolutely no information on master bedroom.
Oh,
Bonneted in the side of the head. Flectum now able to dodge a little bit further back. The reswing from the Nomad is good. Joshi gets one pick, but immediately slowed down by Toxic Babes, and with 30 seconds on the clock, they should be able to use this pressure to force the Nomad into a bold play at the end. It's still a 4 versus 4, Cameron. They have breach open and up, but they're still tangling with Lounge.
Yeah, and at least Barrow is able to find a kill onto Kanye East. That's
Charge
a
up
bandit
red.
going down. Yeah, indeed, the charge up red, but it only is spotted by one, and Trooper Lane as well. These two players, they're combining for picks. It's Pigo as well. Nihilus is getting this diffuser planted, but Trooper Lane should be able to put a stop to that. Misses too high, but gets the reconnection and the round win for the Pirates. And the Wolfhounds, they started out with good pace, but it just petered out, Ben.
I want to take a moment to appreciate the fact that Wolfhounds were able to make a mirror window in cache looking at red look like a valid strategic play and a good choice.
Yeah, that is crazy.
That should never be the case. That mirror window should be looking the other way every day of the week. But because of how that push played out, because they were so focused on getting for that breach and then did nothing on the backside of the map, it made it suddenly seem like some sort of epic maneuver. We resorted to running up red stairs at the end of that round. That was the culmination of everything that the Wolfhounds put together over the course of 2.5 minutes. Was a rush by a Carly up red.
It's not ideal.
It's one way of putting it.
Yeah.
I'd have
One
maybe
offer-
said bad, but sure.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, it's pretty bad. The job doesn't get any easier for the Wolfhounds either. They've now got a basement defense to try and contend with here, Ben. Again, probably one of the strongest sites in the pool.
It's certainly a hard one to crack. It's going to rely on a lot more work, and especially the fact that they haven't brought any EMPs is going to make hatches such as the motor hatch, where there's no verticality around it either. It's not like kitchen, right? Sometimes you can get away with dropping a nade down it instead, or something like this. A lot harder to do on Moto. So that's probably going to stay closed, because I'd imagine that'd be electrified. It's going to force the attack to focus a little bit more on getting down inside of blue, getting down inside of dirt as well. If they can get both of those spots, it's still workable to play for picks. You don't need the hatches. They're bonuses. I would still try and play for kitchen, and that's what they're going to do off the rip. Immediately getting that drone information going in. As Barrow, he's the Habana, he's the one with the diffuser. He's going to be making sure that information is safe and sound. I could see Finker moving in here to try and take space a little bit more assertively, but still getting that information at all is a good starting point.
Indeed it is. Well, we've already seen one basement attack
Entering some ears.
be one out. That's not quite ideal.
I like
Lands
this
it
try.
on the second attempt. Yeah. Decent. Trying to find the Electro Claw. They have the IQ on side as well, so that one should be fairly easy to come on out. Connie East doesn't have any left. In fact, it's going to be the Impact Tricks to come on through. There's plenty of Ex-Kairos left here.
No,
for
2 at a
Barrow.
time.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Still got enough to get it done.
but they're only going to be able to get that one hatch. I mean, they just have to rely on now. Where have those Ex-Kairos gone?
Oh,
they're
it's
just-
bugs. Okay, but you
That's
still
not
got 2
great.
more.
Still
Okay,
got 2
we got
more.
it done.
The very definition of just about. By the skin of their teeth, they get that open. They're going to have to rely on the tin openers for the other hatches around. And again, it's so slow from the Wolfhounds. Let's face it, what do they have? They've got kitchen hatch open. That's it. And well, they've not even found the opening kill. It's in fact Trooper Lane to get it inside of Lounge. You cannot be letting them get away with that. A second kill in that position, threading the needle. But there's two picks in response on the site. Now, hang on a minute. This could be massive. And Coban's found a double suddenly. The advantage spun on its head. But Trooper Lane is still persisting. You've still got the players upstairs. Kaiclaw and Moto Hatch. That is not able to be collected. They have to try and get the diffuser. And so far away from the site. And they run into the man invisible on your screen. And Trooper Lane's able to find a quad. Not quite the ace because they run out of time. But it does not matter. The round goes the way of the Pirates. Calamity after calamity for the Wolfhounds. They let another one slip. And the Pirates have tied us up.
The living epitome of so bad it's good. That Frostmare actually coming in so immensely clutch. Because getting the injury on the Finker, being able to get that kill onto Trooper Lane, meant that there was then the ability to walk back in, to contest the drop, make sure the plant can't go down. So, I mean, mental stuff coming through in that round. Everything that could possibly give you start throwing out question marks existed. It was chaotic. It was a mess. There were frags going back and forth. Cinema. Absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema. And a quad from Trooper Lane as well. I mean, that second kill onto Barrow is possibly one of the nastiest things that I've ever seen. That was insane.
Nice little tap. Watching towards the door frame. Bang. Gets away into the basement.
Beautiful.
Yeah, work that Trooper Lane. Work that.
Literally the saviour for the side of the Pirates that round, because everything else was going wrong for them, despite the fact that they were able to waste over 2 minutes.
5 seconds.
It doesn't come to pass.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Now playing for Gym Bedroom as well, so often the second site, this time it's going to be that tertiary that they're leaning in towards. That seems to be sort of the priority of both teams. Obviously we saw Wolfhounds actually go at second. And then Basement, though, it's in a cruel twist of fate, but there we go. Some teams just like the top floors a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean,
Nihilus.
Tribal definitely like the top floor on Oregon, that's for sure.
Well, I don't know if they do any more.
No.
Roll out the EMPs. Trooper Lane's gone for the wrong side. No, he's gone for the right side. He's guessed it correctly. That's one extra dynamic gone. You're not placing the second down immediately. Don't do it.
No.
Nihilus, no.
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 Okay,
No, he saved it. He saved it. He saved it.
He saved it.
Oh.
Thank God.
Which way's he
for
going?
that.
We're out of EMPs.
Oh no.
Oh no, we cooked it, boys.
That's an absolute disaster.
Okay, breach closed. Move on from this now. Don't get hung up on the fact that you failed. Find something else to get value. Find another way to play for this map. That's not the only way you can get wins. The rest of your team is over on server side, currently fighting for cash control. Door barricaded it off. They're going to open it up. And Joshi Moshi ready on the side. They can buck this open and get the swing on in towards the green box. The kill not lining up first. But initially they get it on the second angle. Barrow gets the pick that they need to start working for the long side. Joshi does get taken down by the P90 from the dock. Is that a long angle from inside of sight? They're not quite sure where he's dived from.
Yeah, I don't know either. I assume it's got to be a flank, and indeed, yeah. Both Kanye East and Pigo downstairs right now. And Barrow is flustered. You could see them checking left, checking right. They were so worried about that. And in the meantime, the breach has been able to be opened up finally, thank God the Wolfhounds have got that one done. But again, it's taking so much time for them. Look at this, just 50 seconds left. Thankfully, that's a direct route to entry to the bomb site. I've got the diffuser over on that side as well. And it's Barrow watching for this flank. Currently a 2v2 on the site if the Wolfhounds want to try and go for it. But Barrow's run in and has in fact died. Champ now getting this diffuser planted in the smoke. But every one of his teammates has fallen around them. Can try and escape out the window, but might get caught there by Flectum. In fact, it's Pigo from long range to find it. It just, again, another disaster.
Come on, Flectum, take the kill. There can only be one. No, we.
Okay. He's just maybe a bit upset on the 11-1 kill difference there. Unfortunately, Kanye, that's not going to count. You don't quite double your kills with that one.
Does not count towards the stat pad. Does count towards the mental stat pad. And honestly, we don't play for stats. We don't play for KD. So, if anything, full credit. I respect it. You get points on the scoreboard. You defused a bomb. More important than a kill. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that.
Do we?
You seem unconcerned. Do you not know that, Pasta? The objective is more important than kills.
Really?
This is why we don't play ranked together.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely the reason. Yeah.
When was the last time you got invited to stack? Doesn't happen.
Attackers need to locate.
I feel like it was quite recently, actually.
No, I don't think it was.
I think it was.
No, wrong.
Oh, okay, my bad, I guess.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Back onto CCTV then. Yeah, me and GoluMolu actually hate each other. This is.
Of course, you try and move the conversation away.
Yeah, of
in
course.
shambles right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, on to cache and CCTV. Azami setup, that's going to be somewhat standard. Nope. That's going to be somewhat standard. Hold on to garage as long as you can. Again, we've got Trooper Lane pulling up the bandits, so the designated tricker from the Pirates. Have to see if we can do a little bit of a better job this time. Once again, bringing in the Kali from the side of Wolfhound. So again, this attempt to try and remove utility. You shoot a lance, you get one of the two bandit batteries. You do that 4 times. Eventually, there's nothing left to trick with. Or they hold one in pocket and hope they guess the side right. But it at least increases your chances of being successful on that breach. We just got to hope that Trooper Lane doesn't have a little bit of a snoozle at the wheel this time around.
Yeah, well, thankfully, the last time around, I think it was Kanye East. So, Trooper Lane now taking that responsibility. Maybe guessed the wrong side, right side. The Lance comes on in just to try and deny any of that utility. But he's got in the right position, and I believe that trick is going to come in. The EMPs don't do anything against the bandit trick. And there is at least the first. They're not going for any vertical pressure for it. Trying to bait it out again. It's just this game of cat and mouse right now. It doesn't appear to be working out for the side of the Wolfhounds. Maybe another Lance to come on in, perhaps? We're going to keep trying to play this game?
Trooper Lane's being a lot more conservative with the batteries now that they're aware the Kali's there. Able to get one more, though. Leaves just the one. You place it down on the right side, immediately gets the exothermic charge. Another fantastic job, and there's one more in pocket. It has now been destroyed, but that's all that matters, right? You've gotten the hard bridge gone. The Ace has used all their charges, playing for garage, playing for pressure on, I believe, the construction wall as well. So no longer something you have to worry about. There's no Capitao or Ying or grenades to come through to try and clear out this army either. So full rotation coming through from Wolfhounds, who've left themselves with surprisingly little utility to play the rest of the round with.
Yeah, that angle is just completely shut off for them. And it means that yeah, they have to find another angle of approach. Right now it's looking like red stairs. Again, are they just going to try and have their Kali run up the red stairs and hope it works? I assume not, because they're going over to the garage. But even still, it's not great. Your flank watch now dead as well in the Nomad of Joshi Moshi. So now what do you do? Well, not lose another player. That's not what you want. Nihilus has gone down as well. It's a double kill for Pigo over on the red stairs. Complete disaster, falling apart yet again. And finally, there's something back. It's Cobalt inside of construction, but down to 30 HP. Barrow's been brought down to 46. That's a nice shot as well to keep things winnable, keep things within touch. But even still, the health advantage, player advantage, all in the hands of the Pirates, because now it's just on Barrow. HP flashing red, only 20 seconds and 3 players to find. Kanye East, the one to close out the round. The Pirates have match point.
And the Pirates are reading so well into what Wolfhounds want to do. There's so much priority being put on the breach that they are willing to sit back, wait patiently on their power positions. Garage not getting too aggressive. They're not swinging out into construction unnecessarily. They're playing around the tough positions to break. The utility isn't being put there by the Wolfhounds. They're so focused on breaches instead, and the Pirates are making them pay for it. That's a couple rounds now where it's just a misunderstanding, and the Pirates have just done so well to sit back, play for their gunfights. 3-4 now rounds in a row, the full sweep, and then server again, back down to Church and Arsenal. This one was a little bit of a mess last time around, and
It was.
I'm shocked to say that I think Wolfhound's best bet might be attacking down here, because that doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right.
But
Again, we saw Pirates win an attack down here as well. One of their 2 attacking rounds was down in the basement.
Oh, I've just seen something.
Have you spotted the Kavira by any chance?
I saw the Kavira. You know what? I'm unfazed by Kavira these days.
Yeah, I actually quite like this, especially for like the last round.
It's
It's certainly a mental killer.
It's a mental killer for sure. I mean, if it works, it's just a killer, ideally.
Yes, very true.
But there's no EMPs, and one thing that we kind of struggled with last time was getting open this kitchen hatch through the impact tricking, but
They don't even have an IQ this time.
oh, they got them now. They got them now. The gridlock change, Coben's got them. Okay, they made a last-second swap. Good call to make sure they had enough utility to get through. The claw's still going to be an issue, and I think the biggest thing is that if you're playing for EMPs on the claw while an impact trick is going through, eventually that claw's going to reactivate, which will take even more down. So you need to be ready, 2-3 times with the EMPs. I'm not quite sure if 2's going to be enough to actually get the job done.
Yeah. Consider last time around as well, they had the IQ to eventually spot out the Kaid Claw and shoot it out from above. This time they don't even have that. Okay, spotting the frost mats, good to keep that one in mind, considering the way the previous attack onto this site went, but yeah, it feels like the utility is perhaps even worse for the Wolfhounds this time around, and even last time it didn't really go their way.
Dirt presence established early on, just make sure that they are shooting down in towards the bomb site. Still droning for this top floor, or middle floor as well. Mirror window placed to lock down into blue, still waiting. Barrows droning for themselves, and spot out the Goyo under the hatch. So it is well aware that an impact trick is going to be coming through once again, as the first X-Kairos go on out.
They didn't get it. They didn't get
But
the claw.
they missed it both times, so that's unfortunate. And they're just calling it quits. Fair enough,
What else can they do? What else
Yeah.
can they do? They don't have any more EMPs. They don't have an IQ. They don't have anything to try and deal with this hatch anymore. They don't even have some sort of ram to try and open up the floor and then maybe spot it. They have to get this blue hatch and hope that they can just do it all from staircases, because the moto hatch is definitely gonna be closed up now with the electro claw. I mean, this is just a complete blunder, and the first kill, well, not quite the first kill, but the response coming out from Trooper Lane, was that through the vertical?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's an unfortunate way to go down. Are we able to
Yeah.
get rid of the mirror window on blue, though? So that's, again, a nice little bit of work done. Barrow going back into dirt, but not expecting Kanye to have taken that position. Gets caught out. Flashbang's now coming through to try and protect the drop, as well as Pledge pushing down the back staircase. But not able to see down. Sprays coming in through the footholes inside a church. Lucky to escape with their life. Looks over the top, does take down the head of Trooper Lane, who wasn't expecting them to be quite so close. But now, need to get in, taking down the barricade. Kanye should be ready on the long angle, but missed a couple shots.
It's still a 2 versus 3, making a 1 versus 3. Kills coming through from elsewhere, and then Kanye collects. It's all up to Nihilus. Just 5 seconds left, no diffuser, no time, no teammates, and no health left to do it with. The Pirates have plundered the Wolfhounds, and they get the win 7-4 here on Clubhouse.
A big win for them. Securing as well that final playoff spot, right? The Pirates going to be your
Yeah.
other team in the playoffs. They escape their group alongside the Rejects.
Yeah, and
What a
they
game.
faced the Red Kites, who topped their groups in a flawless fashion. And in fact, the games that they did play, it was a 7... It was 7-2s both times. They only lost 4 rounds in the entire group stage. The Red Kites,
pretty good.
they look very, very strong. So for the Pirates, it's still going to be a very tough match, but they do have a week to prepare for it, Ben.
Yeah, they do get a decent bit of time, and now that you know your next opponent as well, that changes how you want to make these choices. You get to
Yeah.
sort of prep a little bit more specifically. It's going to be difficult because, again, quite a few games are played off stream, so you're not going to get that perfect information on your opponent. I think focusing a lot more on your own play is going to be a lot more important for teams going forward, and making sure that you prioritize just as much improvement on yourself as you can get in, reviewing the games you've played. You know, I'm hoping that players are either having match replays to save, or maybe they're recording their own perspectives is a really good way to continue to see that improvement, and especially for getting those comms, which I think are a really underrated part of working as a team, right? Is making sure that your communication as well as your performance inside the game, your mechanical performance is on point. But going into playoffs, I'm looking forward to seeing what we get from them.
Yeah, so am I as well. I mean, they certainly played well today, especially on their defenses. They look pretty good, but it's the same. It's kind of a similar thing as with the last game as well. It's like, yes, they played well, but how much of that success was mistakes coming through from the other side?
Yep.
And I think we did see quite a few mistakes from the Wolfhounds today. However, it's a good look for the Pirates. They were able to punish them on those mistakes, because far too often we see teams make mistakes and they go unpunished and they just keep making them because it doesn't matter that they're making them. The Pirates, though, they recognize what was going wrong for the Wolfhounds. They lasered in on those win conditions and they got the wins, and that's very crucial. If you can't get the points if you don't win. I know that sounds very obvious. You know, if it went in, it would have been a goal, but it's sometimes those important things that you need to remember. Siege is about gunfights. It's an FPS at the end of the day, and yes, your utility can help you with that, which we definitely saw come through on like those basement attacks from the Wolfhounds. They didn't have the right utility, and they weren't setting themselves up for success, and they didn't give themselves the best opportunity to take those gunfights. But if you get shot at the end of the day, you're gonna die. If all of you die, you're gonna lose the round. And if you take too long, you're gonna lose the round. It's those crucial things, and the Pirates were able to isolate that so well. They were wasting time effectively. They were making sure that they got their picks. They were making sure that they crucially were able to escape without being traded more often than not. It's a recipe for success, Ben.
Certainly is, and we do have the ability to look at our bracket for next week to get to see what our semi-finals are going to be. The Rejects taking on Ronda Rising, Pirates, Red Kites.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty exciting to see. So I think both of these games are going to be interesting. Obviously, Rejects and Red Kites respectively coming in as the tops of their own groups. So, you know, you'd be looking at them to be sort of the favourites. The Red Kites, obviously last season's champions, another team that I'd expect to see go a little bit further. But, you know what, after showing for the Pirates today, a little bit scrappy, but very good at picking up the rounds where it counts, Cameron. I mean,
Yes.
do you have any thoughts on how this round, this bracket plays out? Do you want to make your bold prediction going into semi-finals?
I'll make a bold prediction. I mean, I don't think I'm back on stream for the.
Don't say Ronda Rising.
I'm not gonna say Ronda Rising.
Okay.
Listen, I'm not on. I don't think I'm on broadcast for the rest of the season, so I can just make up whatever I want for my predictions.
That
no
is
one can hold me
technically true.
No one can hold me accountable for this. I can just make up whatever I want. But no, I do think the first seeds out of these.
The Twitter's under the name. The Twitter's under the name.
No. Well, follow me, I guess. But no, I do think that the teams that top their groups, they did just look so dominant and so strong throughout this group stage. They barely dropped any rounds. I mean, the Rejects, they were brought close, 7-4s and 7-5s compared to the 7-2s from the Red Kites, but I would favour those two teams going into the finals. And I'm going to be real. It looks set for the Red Kites to take it again. I will say they certainly are looking very, very strong this season.
So perhaps a 2-peat on the cards. Well, we have had a wonderful day of games. But that is it for your entertainment this evening here at the Welsh Esports League. We'll be back next week with both semi-finals games before the week following that being our grand final to determine this season's Rainbow Six Siege champion. Until then, have yourselves a lovely week, a lovely evening. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. We'll see you next time. Good night.
Goodbye, everyone.